What happens when a man who mistakes control for power pulls over a woman who understands authority better than he ever will? This isn't just a story about a traffic stop. It's a story about patterns, about silence that speaks louder than rage, about what happens when someone finally decides that letting it go isn't justice, it's permission. And it started on a quiet Thursday night in Georgia, with a stop that never should have happened, but had happened before, to too many people, for too long. This is the story of Major Naomi Carter and the night that changed everything. Thursday night, 10:47 p.m., outside Augusta, Georgia. Major Naomi Carter was driving home from Fort Gordon in an unmarked government SUV. The road was empty. She wasn't speeding, wasn't on her phone, just heading home after a long briefing. Behind a billboard, Officer Luke Harlan was parked in his patrol car scrolling through his phone. It had been a quiet shift, nothing happening. Then Naomi's SUV passed. Out-of-state plates, tinted windows, and her. A black woman alone late at night. That was enough. Red and blue lights. Naomi saw them in her rearview mirror and immediately pulled over. Engine off, hands on the wheel. She'd done this before, not because she was careless, because she was careful. Officer Harlan approached her window, flashlight already raised, hand hovering near his holster. License and registration. No greeting, no explanation. Naomi kept her voice calm. "Officer, may I ask the reason for the stop?" The flashlight snapped up into her face. "You were drifting between lanes, failed to signal, might be impaired." She hadn't drifted. She had signaled. But she didn't argue. "Not yet. I didn't drift, and I did signal." His jaw tightened. "License. Now." She reached slowly for the glove compartment and handed over her documents. "This is a federal vehicle. I'm a government employee." Harlan glanced at the paperwork, then smiled. Not friendly. "Doesn't make you special." "I never said it did." There was a shift in the air. "Step out of the vehicle." Naomi blinked. "On what grounds?" "Sobriety check." "I've complied with everything you've asked. I haven't been drinking. I'd like clarification before I exit." His voice hardened. "Now you're refusing a lawful order." "No, I'm asking a question." That was when he opened her door himself. "Out. Now." Naomi reached for her phone and turned on the camera. "Just so we're clear, this interaction is being recorded." Harlan hesitated, just for a second. Then his pride kicked back in. "Out of the vehicle." Naomi stepped out, calm, controlled, standing tall under the street lights. She knew what this was. She'd seen it before. Harlan put her through a full field sobriety test. Walk, heel to toe, arms out, count backward. Cars passed slowly, headlights lingering on the scene. Naomi executed every instruction perfectly. No wobble, no slurred words, no mistakes. Harlan stood there, jaw tight, flashlight dangling at his side. He had nothing, but he wrote the ticket anyway. Failure to maintain lane. He tore it off and handed it to her. Naomi took it without a word. No argument, no anger, just a look. The kind of look that says, "I see exactly what you're doing." She got back in her SUV and drove off. Harlan watched her taillights disappear, irritation buzzing under his skin. Another driver handled, or so he thought. Luke Harlan had been on the force for 16 years, long enough to stop questioning himself, long enough to believe his instincts were always right. He wasn't a monster. He showed up on time, did his job, followed protocol, mostly. But somewhere along the way, he'd started to confuse authority with power. And when people pushed back, he pushed harder. Back at the station, he logged the stop like any other. Failure to maintain lane, possible impairment. No arrest. Body cam footage uploaded, report filed, done. In the break room later, he laughed about it with another officer. Had a woman try to pull the government card on me tonight. Thought that'd scare me off. Officer Jenkins looked up. Military? So she said. You catch her name? Harlan shrugged. Carter, Naomi something. Jenkins went quiet. You serious? What? That's Major Naomi Carter. She lectured at the academy last year. She's not just military, she's command level. Harlan scoffed. Don't care what her rank is. On the road, I'm the authority. But Jenkins didn't laugh, and that silence stuck with Harlan longer than he wanted to admit. Still, he didn't review the footage, didn't think twice. Why would he? The system had always protected him before. Naomi Carter didn't go online and vent, didn't record a tearful video, didn't call the news. She went home, sat at her kitchen table, and watched the footage. Again and again. Not because she doubted what happened, but because she knew exactly what happened. The tone, the posture, the hand near the holster, the unnecessary escalation. She'd seen this before, not just to her, to others, to people who didn't have rank, didn't have resources, didn't have a camera running. People who had no choice but to let it go. She was tired of letting it go. The next morning, she sat in her office at Fort Gordon and made a call. Not to a friend, not to a supervisor, to her attorney. I need to file a formal complaint, she said. Federal level. Her attorney reviewed the footage and exhaled slowly. This is solid. But you know what you're walking into, right? They'll come at you hard. They'll make this about you. Naomi nodded. I know. And you still want to move forward? She didn't hesitate. I'm done letting it go. By the end of the week, a formal complaint had been filed, not just with Internal Affairs, Federal Oversight, Civil Rights Division, Department of Justice. She included everything. Her footage, his body cam request, timestamps, exact language used. No emotion, just facts. And facts don't lie. 2 weeks later, Luke Harlan came home after his shift and dropped his keys on the counter. His wife looked up from her laptop. Long day? Same as always. She hesitated. You okay? You've been quiet lately. He opened the fridge, stared at nothing. Yeah, just work stuff. What kind of work stuff? He closed the fridge. I pulled someone over a couple weeks ago. Woman claimed she was military, government employee, whole thing. His wife frowned. And? And now there's a complaint. She went still. A complaint? For what? I don't know. Something about civil rights. It's ridiculous. I followed procedure. His wife didn't say anything for a moment. Then, did you? Harlan looked at her. What's that supposed to mean? I'm just asking. Did you follow procedure? Or did you, you know? No, I don't know, she sighed. Luke, you've told me stories about stops that didn't feel right, about people you pulled over because they looked like trouble. That's not what this was. Are you sure? He didn't answer. Because deep down, in the part of himself he didn't like to look at, he wasn't. But admitting that felt like losing, so he didn't. The notice arrived in a plain manila envelope. Notice to appear. Harlan tore it open and read the charges. Civil rights violation, unlawful detainment, abuse of authority under color of law. He laughed. This is insane. But when he walked into the precinct the next morning, the mood had changed. Captain Morales called him into his office. Door closed, blinds drawn. She's not backing down, Morales said. This is federal. Department of Justice is involved. Harlan crossed his arms. I followed procedure. You escalated without cause. I had cause. She was drifting. Your body cam doesn't show that. Silence. Morales leaned forward. Luke, if this goes to court and you lose, if the media picks this up, it doesn't just hurt you. It hurts all of us. It won't go that far. It already has. The day Naomi Carter walked into that courtroom, she wore her full dress uniform. Not to intimidate, to remind. Ribbons across her chest, badges, rank insignia clear as day. The room shifted when she entered. When she took the stand, she didn't dramatize. She explained, calmly, precisely, methodically. I was driving northbound on Wrightsboro Road. I was not speeding. I signaled every lane change. My hands were visible the entire time. The prosecutor nodded. And when Officer Harlan approached, what did he say? He asked for my license and registration. When I asked the reason for the stop, he said I was drifting and might be impaired. Were you? No. Did he conduct a sobriety test? Yes. And the result? I passed, completely. Then they played the footage, both angles, hers and his. The jury watched in silence. Harlan's tone, his posture, the hand hovering near his weapon, the unnecessary escalation. No commentary needed. During cross-examination, Harlan's attorney tried to reframe it. Major Carter, is it possible Officer Harlan was simply being cautious? That he was following his training? Naomi looked directly at the attorney. Caution requires cause. There was none. Then the prosecutor stood. Officer Harlan, I have a question for you. Harlan sat up straighter. If you had known Major Carter's rank before you pulled her over, if you'd seen her uniform, her credentials, her position, would you have handled that stop differently? Harlan opened his mouth, closed it, then answered, yes. The courtroom went silent. The prosecutor didn't even follow up. He didn't need to, because in that one word, Harlan had admitted everything. He wouldn't have stopped her if he'd known, which meant the stop was never about the law. It was about who he thought she was, and what he thought he could get away with. 3 days later, the jury came back. Violation of constitutional rights under the 4th and 14th Amendments. Damages awarded, $175,000. Formal departmental review ordered. Harlan sat motionless. Naomi didn't look at him. She didn't need to. Outside the courthouse, reporters gathered, microphones raised. Naomi gave a short statement. This was never about me. It was about accountability. It was about making sure that what happened to me doesn't keep happening to people who don't have the resources to fight back. Someone shouted a question. Do you think Officer Harlan is racist? Naomi paused. I think Officer Harlan made assumptions. I think those assumptions were based on what he saw when he looked at me. And I think that happens every day in this country. The question isn't whether it happened. The question is, what are we going to do about it? She walked away. No celebration, no victory lap, just quiet resolve. Weeks later, Naomi stood in front of a room full of young officers in training. The academy had invited her to speak. Some of them looked uncomfortable. She didn't sugarcoat it. How many of you think wearing this uniform automatically earns you respect? A few hands went up. She shook her head. It doesn't. What it earns you is responsibility. And if you can't carry that responsibility with integrity, you don't deserve to wear it. She paused. Some of you in this room will be stopped one day because of how you look, and some of you will be the ones doing the stopping. The question you need to ask yourself is, what kind of officer will you be when no one's watching? The room stayed silent. One young officer, a black woman in the second row, raised her hand. "What if we do everything right and it still happens?" Naomi met her eyes. "Then you document it. You report it. You don't let it go. Because silence isn't protection. It's permission." She closed her folder. Authority isn't a weapon. It's not a shield. It's a weight. And if you can't carry it with discipline and fairness, you have no business carrying it at all. She walked out. The room stayed quiet, but the message landed.